Hello, I'm Dylan.
And I'm Keon.
This is Trust Your Doctor, that podcast where we play chess to decide the fate of the universe, because this week we watched Nightmare in Silver.
Written by Neil Gaiman.
Directed by Stephen Wolfenden.
And aired on May 11th, 2013.
Stephen Wolfenden's first and only contribution to the show.
Guess Wolf is ending. I don't know.
Oof. 7 out of 10 for concept and 5 out of 10 for execution on that one.
Wow, that's better than I would give it.
You mustn't be so harsh on yourself, Keon. That's a gateway to self-deprecation. The strongest drug of them all. It's actually not true. I think like heroin is
stronger than self-deprecation. Well, hopefully Neil Gaiman looks back on this episode with a heavy dose of self-deprecation, because he really wasn't giving it his all.
Well, apparently this is like pretty far removed from the script that Neil Gaiman even turned in.
Huh.
I remember reading a couple months ago that Neil Gaiman came out and said that Nightmare in Silver is like the reason why he hasn't come back to work on the show again, is because he was just like genuinely disappointed with how the final product came out, and he's like, it just like wasn't what I wrote and what I envisioned at all originally.
Yeah, well, that's the thing with like TV. You know, Neil Gaiman usually works in comics, and but also just like books.
Right.
Where there's, I mean, for books it's usually just like, you know, a writer and an editor, or maybe two, but usually just like one.
But even like The Doctor's Wife, he said, you know, that was pretty close to his vision.
Yeah.
And then this just wasn't for whatever reason. I think he said that there was like a lot of turmoil behind the scenes during this whole era, which is partially the reason, again, why they split the season in two, because there was just a lot of like going on behind the scenes, a lot of uncertainty and scheduling issues. And Neil Gaiman also was like, yeah, there's a possibility that Nightmare in Silver could even be delayed out of the second half of season two, kind of like Doctor's Wife was delayed. But that didn't end up happening, thankfully. I could not imagine this with the 12th Doctor, like at all.
Huh.
At least not the Series 8 12th Doctor. Maybe the Series 10 12th Doctor, but... Because unlike most Doctors on the show, he has character development.
Most of them did. Well, all right, let's just do the thing where we go through all of them and say whether they did or not.
The first Doctor?
Yes.
Okay, barely. The second Doctor?
Probably not, I guess. Third Doctor, yes, for sure.
Fourth Doctor, I would say no.
Well, yeah, all right, sure.
The fifth Doctor?
No.
No. The sixth Doctor, I guess?
Yes, he was supposed to, but then he got screwed over by
it got compressed into like 2 seasons. I mean, it existed. It wasn't that great.
Seventh Doctor? I mean, yeah. He had like the thing where you realize he's not like a great guy.
Well, also he was a lot more comedic in his first seasons than later, so yeah.
That was like a behind the scenes like error almost.
I mean, I guess, but it's still like development.
Right, sure.
I suppose.
Eighth Doctor, yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Ninth, yes. 10th, yes. 11th, yes.
Has he really? You think so?
Maybe.
I'm of the opinion of the reboot Doctors, the 11th is the one who's had the least so far. Like,
yeah, for sure. I mean, he has like the couple like 2 episodes left to do this, and people always say that Name of the Doctor is one of the best of the 11th Doctor.
But can it redeem this half season?
Well, I don't know if this half season really needs redeeming, because there are definitely like things that drag it down like this. I know we had the same discussion last week, but then there are also great episodes as well. Most divisive season of Doctor Who.
I can see that. Anyway, other than Neil Gaiman saying that this wasn't his vision, not really much else happened production-wise. Neil Gaiman said he looked to like the moon base and Silver Nemesis for redesigning the Cybermen.
Yeah. Oh, redesigning the Cybermen. I thought you were going to say like the story structure or whatever, because there's a lot of there's like base under siege type stuff going on here, kind of like what was the one that did that in this season?
Oh shoot. The season is so long I can't even remember.
Oh, it was Cold War.
Yeah, there we go. Well, also he wanted to, because, you know, in the reboot, when we get the Cybermen in Age of Steel, they're from an alternate universe Earth, but if the Cybermen in the classic show were always from Mondaz. So Neil Gaiman wanted to kind of bring back the Mondazian Cybermen in this, that are about like converting people and not about human survival, I guess. I don't exactly remember the creation of the Cybermen in Age of Steel, but I remember it being pretty drastically different from...
Well, they were created by humans.
Yeah.
Which I guess the original ones were too, just like humans way far in the future.
On Mondaz.
On Mondaz. Yeah, I guess they were Mondasians, but they were also kind of human because they were just like, I don't know.
Well,
it was like a twin planet
that nobody had ever heard of, and nobody ever heard of again. And then he also dropped...
Okay, so just to interject for a minute, where are this Mondasian Silurians, huh? What about them?
Maybe they got turned into Cybermen. Dun dun dun.
Cyber Silurians. Get on that.
Well, in this episode, they indicate the Cybermen can convert things other than humans, so... Which I was going to say, Neil Gaiman drew in elements of the Borg from Star Trek, which is interesting because it's like the Borg were influenced by the Cybermen, now the Cybermen are being influenced by the Borg.
But it also definitely feels like a case of like, well, we need to put the Doctor in danger, so throw in this line about how they can convert Time Lords now, too.
Well, not only that, like them upgrading to make threats not threats anymore.
Yeah.
And also the speedy Cybermen, which I think was like a lot of the criticism of this episode was towards those Cybermen that just like zoom by at like 1,000,000 miles an hour.
What's the guy's name in X-Men who has that scene?
Quicksilver.
Yeah, Quicksilver. Nightmare in Quicksilver.
Wow. That one's a straight 7 to 10 across the board.
Yeah, a lot of the things in this story felt like they were kind of just pulled out of nowhere, and they just felt cobbled together and not great.
That speedy Cyberman is one of the things Neil Gaiman also pointed to. He's like, that's not like how I originally conceived that, like at all. So
he's admitting that he did originally conceive that, but that's not how he did.
I guess, yeah.
Huh. Really, I mean, I don't know if we can absolve him from all the blame.
Oh, I'm not absolving him from all the blame.
Neither am I guess.
Okay.
He's pretty responsive on Twitter. Maybe I should just call him out. Like, hey man, like that was a pretty bad episode. No, I'm not going to do that.
Don't do that. Don't draw an eye of Neil Gaiman towards this podcast. If anything, we should fly under the radar, under Neil Gaiman's radar.
Neil Gaiman can never know the bad things we're about to say about him. Actually, I feel like if he did, he would just be like really cool about it. But then like his fan army or whatever would be like, what the hell, guys? You can't bad talk Neil Gaiman.
Yeah, if I was a famous writer and someone like said something bad about me, I was like, all right, man, that's like your opinion, dude. And I'd be like, see you later.
That's like your opinion, man.
I mean, that's what we did when that guy basically just shat all over Zenith. It's like, that's like your opinion, man.
I guess. I don't even think I addressed that.
Yeah.
Gotta fly under the radar of Zenith. Don't want to draw
Zenith
our attention.
Is dead. And we killed it. Nietzsche. So the story begins like right in the just... If you hadn't seen last week's episode, you'd have no idea where these kids came from. Because it just starts with the TARDIS materializing on this like moon-looking thing.
You can tell it's not the moon. Well, I mean, you can tell that if it's supposed to be the moon, they phoned it in really in a big way because of the painted backdrop.
It's the set where Stanley Kubrick faked the moon landing.
No, they used a much better set for that.
Yeah, there are conspiracy theorists that would disagree with you.
And I'm one of them.
What?
Yeah, I'm a conspiracy theorist who disagrees with myself. It's part of my theory. I don't even know how I would wrap my mind around that, but whatever. Let's just
error does not compute.
Move on. So they're wandering around. Actually, not really. It's just sort of a static shot.
Yeah, they just kind of walk around this, and the doctor's like, look, it's the biggest
They have some just, yeah.
theme park in the galaxy. It's like a whole planet that's a theme park, which sounds pretty awesome. I'm not gonna lie.
I guess.
Like
What's
every
that
theme
new
park.
animated movie, like Theme Park or whatever?
Wonder Park, I think it is.
Park.
I heard it was really bad.
Yeah, so I don't know, a lot of the dialogue in this, and it starts here in the very first scene, just feels like so inane, and it felt like one of those classic show things where it's like, I have to pad it out as much as possible because we did the first read through and it was like 20 minutes long and it's supposed to be 2 hours. You know?
Panic. Kind of. Yeah, a lot of the story just feels like padding. There's not like a lot of real
Plot.
terror or plot. And I mean, what's there? I like the stuff between the Doctor and Mr. Clever, but like everything else in the story just falls flat for me anyway.
Yeah, same here. Even the Doctor and Mr. Clever, I guess. I just called him the cyber planner or whatever they called him. Even that was like...
Yeah, but he called himself Mr. Clever.
But we'll get there. So
Yeah.
this guy sort of steps out into the area, I guess.
And then some soldiers show up and he's like, oh, shoot soldiers! So he leaves. And then the Doctor pulls out his golden ticket. He's like, no, not invading. Golden ticket. Spacey Zoomer. Yay! And
the soldiers kind of just back off. I guess this is just an introduction.
yeah, because he pulls out his psychic paper. And they're like, oh, you're the Imperator or whatever.
Yeah.
And he's like, yep, that's me.
So we learn that this is, one of the, I guess, many human empires, or part of it.
Yeah. And they're like, all right, cool, go about your day. And then they leave. And then Webley pops back out and he's like, yeah, they can't really make us leave, but they don't like us being here.
Right, because apparently the planet has fallen into disuse. And we get some good shots of it too, done with CG, where it's just a desolated
Decrepit
theme park.
Yeah. Reminds me of Six Flags New Orleans. Six Flags New Orleans
Reminds
is...
me of Knott's Berry Farm. I'm just kidding.
Knott's Berry Farm's not that decrepit.
Not that decrepit.
Great. Six Flags New Orleans closed for Hurricane Katrina, and then the levee broke, and then it got flooded, and then they never reopened it. So if you look at pictures of Six Flags New Orleans, it's like this rundown, abandoned theme park. It's pretty eerie and weird to look at.
I've watched those videos where it's like abandoned theme park exploration, scariest thing you've seen in years, and they are pretty creepy, but I wouldn't necessarily call them scary.
Yeah, I agree. There's just like a sense of like dread, I guess, or uncomfortableness.
Sure. It's like really broken when the people in those videos like come across other groups who are exploring the theme park and probably making their own video.
So, edit this out of the video.
So they go into this room and Webley has set up this thing that's a reference to
knockoff Madame Tussauds. First off,
sure, yeah. This is a reference to this like quote unquote like chess playing machine that someone invented in like the 18th
Turk,
century.
I think it was, or just the Turk. I think.
Yeah, when it was really just a guy like underneath the table.
Yeah, I think there's another reference to this in an audio drama with the Eighth Doctor and Mary Shelley. Where they encounter. Where they go back in time and find out that Turk is also a Cyberman. That's kind of weird. Although I think that was actually released before this episode. I think.
It was probably released during the period, the 1989 to 2005 period, when that was the only thing coming. I don't know. That's just my guess.
Possibly.
It's weird, like, Mary Shelley, in, like, the past 20 or 30 years, has become, like, a character in books. Like, people use her as a character a lot.
Well, I think in the past 20 to 30 years, we finally hit that moment where she was long enough ago in history that we can use her as a character. Because they do that with, like, Caesar, right? And
yeah, but
Newton,
Yeah, I don't know. I just find it weird that, like, because she's a writer, whereas, like, these other people are historical, so, like, historical fiction or whatever, whereas, like, I don't know.
But you can make an argument that Mary Shelley's historical as well.
Yeah, I would say she is.
Yeah.
Now, at least.
So
they debunk this machine.
Artie plays it, and he makes a really curious opening move where I think he moves like his kingside knight pawn forward one, and then he gets fool's mated, which is like you can be checkmated in like I think 4 moves. I think it's the theoretical quickest checkmate that's possible.
The doctor tries to jump in and give him advice. And even with like when Webley is like, so does anyone here play chess? The doctor is like, oh, actually, and then
Artie's like, I'm on the school's chess team. Must be a really bad chess team if he can be on it. Not gonna lie.
Well, he said he's in the chess club, so maybe he's like
true.
just the wannabes who couldn't make it to the team. They're like, well, let's just form our own club. But yeah, so I remember last week we kind of had this mini discussion about like these kids are probably going to be pretty bad.
And you were like, they're probably not going to be that bad. Well, you said, I'm not going to judge them before I see them.
They weren't as bad as they could have been.
The girl was way worse than the boy.
Yeah, I think it works, though, because the girl is supposed to be, like, 12, 13, so she's supposed to be, like, kind of, I don't know, annoying and...
I guess.
And self-righteous or whatever, as a lot of people that age are.
I guess. I'm glad they just got put out of commission immediately by the Cyberman. I was like, thank you, Cyberman.
Artie was fine, to be honest.
Yeah, Artie was fine.
And, like, their acting was...
All right.
Yeah.
Anyway...
They find the guy underneath the table.
Yeah, this is Warwick Davis, who I found out played Wicket.
Yeah, last week we said it was R2, but that was actually... He auditioned for R2.
Yeah, but he played Wicket. He also plays a character in Solo. Apparently.
Is it Wicket?
No, it's not Wicket.
Is it Han? No, just kidding.
I think he's too old for Han.
You never know.
He's too old for the age Han was supposed to be in Solo.
Sure.
So, yeah, he's hiding under the thing and playing chess, controlling the Cyberman shell.
Right. We didn't mention that it's a Cyberman.
Kind of an important thing. And then he's like, I have 3 Cybermen in my collection. I'm like,
Pretty sure that's not going to come back to haunt you.
That's not dangerous.
But for now, it's not. They kind of just go off to explore other parts of the park.
Right.
But the doctor, I think, says that they arrived too late, and he thought that things would still be in
good condition,
but everything has fallen into disrepair, so they can't use it. But the doctor wants to investigate what's going on with the Cybermen.
Yeah.
And Clara has gone off to see what the army is doing.
So the girl,
Angie,
is like, I'm bored. So she leaves because she wanders off. Even the doctor was like, don't wander off. I know I'm telling you not to wander off, and you're probably going to wander off, but literally don't wander off, or we're going to have to chase you down and save you. And he's like, yeah, from what? She finds the army, and her first words are, I'm bored. It's like, wow. There's also this waxwork of the emperor of the human empire, which looks kind of like Caesar, I guess.
Right.
And she goes to the army and starts describing this little guy she saw. It's Porridge. Warwick Davis's character's named Porridge, allegedly. It's his cover name.
Yeah, sure.
So the doctor then goes to chase down Clara, who's chasing down Angie at the army, and they get there and a Cyberman shows up and wakes up. They wake up and they convert Warwick, I guess.
Right, and the army is totally unprepared.
Yeah, apparently they're a punishment platoon.
Yeah, they're a punishment platoon, so they've just been, I guess,
sent to this backwater planet, this empty backwater planet. I'm not exactly sure how this giant theme park fell into disrepair. It's not really explained. It is explained, however, that Hedgewick bought the planet for cheap because it was decimated during the Cyber Wars.
Right.
And apparently to win the Cyber Wars, the humans just wiped an entire galaxy off the map.
Yeah, because there's a point where Clara
looks... full Death Star on this.
I forget if it's Clara or Angie, but one of them looks into the sky and there's just this empty region.
Yeah.
She goes, what's that? And that's when they explain this.
Yeah, Porridge is that's where there used to be a galaxy there.
Yeah.
So the doctor puts Clara in command while he goes to find the kids because they've been captured by the Cybermen. And Porridge's like, she's your commanding officer now. You gotta listen to her.
Yeah, and this is where this was really weird, in my opinion. just Clara stepping into this role. I mean, I get that they're not the most competent soldiers ever, but I mean, they at least have more training and authority than
It's
her,
because the Doctor
right?
doesn't want them to blow up a planet while he's still trying to find the kids, mainly.
Yeah, but it was just, it felt
Clara's
so
one
strange.
job is to not let them blow up the planet.
It was so strange. Especially like coming after Cold War,
I guess.
kind of. I don't know. It didn't feel right to me.
Well, apparently the protocol if you find a Cyberman is to blow up the planet, or implode the planet, so...
Yeah, they have this machine that will do that. And this really helps with the like stupidity of the final like 2 minutes of the story.
Yeah, it has a
machine.
voice-activated detonator key to the commander's voice,
Yeah, they waste
but
no
she immediately
time.
dies. There's a remote
Yeah,
detonator that
Missy.
gets given to Clara. She hangs onto that for a bit before it gets destroyed, predictably.
So, okay, this is like the one interesting thing from this story. Is this, her name was Missy, right? So
Yeah.
is this Missy related to the upcoming
No, I don't think
Missy?
so. Because I noticed that too, and I was like, that's kind of weird, but, there's no relation, as far as I can tell.
I knew about the character of Missy since before we even started the new series, and I'm surprised that she's not in the show yet. I thought she was, a bigger part of. Or I thought she was
Isn't
introduced
she-
in earlier
Dot, dot, dot.
seasons.
Who do you think the woman in the shop who gave Clara the phone number is?
Wait, what? When was that?
No, it's not revealed yet, but
I don't even remember
in
her
Bells
get-
of St. John, the Doctor's like, how'd you get this phone number? When Clara calls the TARDIS, she's like, oh, the woman in the shop gave it to me. And he's like, nobody has this number.
Oh, well, I don't remember that mini exchange. That's one of the things that they like pull on you in New Doctor Who is like there's these under the radar moments.
These like
And then like
two
2
lines.
years later you're like, oh shoot. Well, that's what you can do when you make these up as you go along.
Yeah, I guess. I guess. So the Doctor goes, and then Webley's like, surprise, we can cyber convert Time Lords now.
Yeah, Angie and Artie have already been captured and converted.
Right. We should
So
talk
that-
about the new Cyberman design, actually, before we continue. 'Cause
Yeah,
this
it
kinda when shows up.
calls back to an earlier design.
An earlier, simpler era. We actually have the glowing thing in the chest now, which looks very Iron Man inspired. Weirdly enough.
Yeah, the teardrops are back. I don't remember if the Rise of Cybermen / Age of Steel ones had the teardrops actually,
I don't think so.
but these ones definitely do.
Yeah, the teardrops are back. The Cybus logo in the chest is gone. It looks more high quality.
It's still there.
I remember the Age of Steel ones looked like cardboard.
Yeah, those ones were calling back to the 10th Planet ones, and now these ones are calling back to the Tomb of the Cybermen
Yes, great.
ones. Because the headphones are back too.
Yeah,
Not that they ever really left, but
they're more prominent
yeah.
now. And they're just more streamlined, I think.
It's just, I mean, I don't really even need to
And
say this.
bulkier.
Yeah. I don't even need to say this, but it's just like, it amazes me to think back to like the 10th Planet and how this now design that's now iconic was just like, well, what do we have in this closet? Oh, here's a pair of earmuffs and
There's a torch, a flashlight.
yeah.
Hold this box while you walk.
And now that
It's
is
like a
is
silver
like-
spandex suit.
Yeah. Well, maybe it wasn't even silver. Maybe the original ones were like green. It's like when it's on the Twitch watches Doctor Who or whatever. When they got to color, they're like, "Oh shoot, the TARDIS is blue."
I'm still amazed at that because I felt like the TARDIS is such a cultural icon now that
Yeah.
I feel like it would be extremely difficult to know that it's not blue.
Yeah, especially in England.
Yeah.
I mean, when I went to England, you just walk into a convenience store and there's like an entire rack of like Doctor Who stuff.
White people don't have culture. Explain this.
Who says that? That's like
I don't know.
nobody says that. I've
No
heard, like,
rational person says that.
I've heard like there's no American culture, but
yeah,
which
well,
isn't
explain
true.
NASCAR then.
God. That's actually something that, like, yeah, please do explain NASCAR. Explain the appeal.
You drive in a circle. Compare that to the Indy 500 where you actually drive down like a course that's like difficult to navigate and has actual turns.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've heard those turn left memes or whatever.
You've heard them? Wait,
Yeah.
you've heard them?
Yep. Audio memes. The way of the future. Now you don't
The
have to.
repeated meme.
Now you don't.
Well, so the Doctor now gets cyber converted, and we see the inside of the Doctor's brain. And I thought this was actually a really cool, like, set. This.
It was lame. It has the Gallif. It has the Gallif. It's sort of. It looks like the wide expanse of space, but like it has Gallifreyan writing all over it.
Yeah.
And then you also see some pictures of previous companions and previous Doctors.
Yeah, Mr. Clever indicates that Mr. Clever's the cyber converted Doctor. Indicates that there's been 10 lives before the 11th Doctor. And this is when
reconfirming that the TV movie is canon to the show, despite everything that happened in it.
This is also where there's this one line that actually calls back to that the Doctor's erasing himself from history thing that was introduced at the start of the season, but he immediately undermines it because the cyber planner's like, you know you can be reconstructed by the hole you left, right? And the Doctor's like, shoot.
I wonder if that's going to be a big part of, like, the name of the Doctor.
I don't know. Although the preview for Name of the Doctor...
Like, somewhere we can never go, and then you see him touching River Song's grave.
Not only that, it, like, spoils that the Great Intelligence comes back because Richard E. Grant as the Great Intelligence shows up right at the end of the preview. It's like, wow, thanks, preview.
Well... Yeah, I mean, I didn't know for sure. I was like, oh, hey, it's
Richard E. Grant.
Yeah, but I didn't know that he was for sure, related.
He just comes back playing a completely different character.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I mean, in hindsight, that's like a really wild assumption.
Yeah.
But that's what I thought when I watched it, so thanks for that. But yeah, this whole thing I felt was lame, this dynamic between the Doctor and the cyber converter. Their cyber planner. Mr.
Clever.
I don't know. I guess it's like a budget thing. I don't know if this was supposed to be a budget story, but like it's Matt Smith playing off himself.
When he's actually playing off himself, when in their mind, I think it works more effectively than when he's like competing for control of his body, because that just kind of looks like he's having a moment in the studio.
Okay, I don't know what that means, but
I was just more convinced by the difference between the two when they were actually like in the same room facing off against each other. When Matt Smith was like swapping between the two, it just didn't really land for me.
Well, I felt that, and I don't know for sure, so this is just again speculation, but I thought that when it was when they were competing for control outside of the mind or whatever, the shots where you would see the Doctor more from his uncyberized side.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, sort of to clue you in, because there's all these scenes that are supposed to be tense, where it's like, is it the Doctor or is it the cyber planner?
Well, there's only one scene where that's supposed to be tense.
Yeah, well, I felt that that was sort of a hint to that, where it's like you're seeing him from this side, so it's this version of him or whatever.
Well, the Doctor reveals that the Cyberman is still weak to gold, so he just pulls out the golden ticket and slaps it on the cyber-converted part of his face.
Well, they reference the moon base, where it's like, you've been weak in the past to gold and cleaning fluid. You're like, well, you don't even have any cleaning fluid. It's like, but I have some gold.
And then I was like, wait, that golden ticket has actual gold in it?
It's gold.
They didn't cheap out and just produce
It's gold leaf. I feel like we're skipping a lot.
No?
Because there's a lot of running around and people dying.
Well, that happens after this. Because the Cybermen are silently infiltrating the castle, and one of them gets blown to bits by the anti-cyber gun. But then another one retaliates by killing 2 more humans. That sucks.
The soldiers are really incompetent, as you would expect.
Then the Doctor runs into the castle with the chessboard, and he's like, all right, guys, restrain me so I can't move, but leave my hands free.
Didn't know you were into that kind of stuff, Doctor.
Wow, yikes. He can join Avon. So then they continue the chess match. We didn't reveal this, but the Doctor and Mr. Clever decide to play chess for control of the Doctor's brain.
This was another baffling decision of All right, now
chess.
well, yeah, because now they have to make this chess game interesting, which they totally fail at.
Yeah, chess is like actually pretty interesting if you just watch it, just without the weird everything else that happened in the story.
Well, it's like if you're into chess, which I'm not, but if you are, and you like watch a game, that can be pretty interesting. But this isn't even that. This is like you just see a few moves, and it's supposed to be like this tense thing or whatever.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, they took all the tension out of chess by trying to add tension to chess.
But I mean, either way, it would have like failed because they could have shown the game of chess with all the moves included. But that would just be another like strange decision of like this Doctor Who episode is now going to be this chess match with realistic moves.
Might have been better. Hey, we don't know. Might have been better.
Yeah, we don't know.
Be pretty impressive if the Doctor beat the Cyber Planner at chess, since pretty much the strongest chess engines nowadays are basically like impossible to beat, even for the best grandmasters. Chess is basically a computer-dominated game now. It was like a huge thing in the 90s when a computer beat like a grandmaster for the first time at chess. It like took a dedicated supercomputer. Now there's like chess programs you can run on like your home PC that are more powerful than most grandmasters.
That's so like weird. Like the term grandmaster is just like I don't know.
Well, the chess rating scheme is like international master and then grandmaster. I think
it's like the KKK. Like the KKK, like the Grand Wizard.
That's the Grand Wizard, though.
The Grand Dragon, or whatever these things are.
The Grand Wizard. That's pretty wizard, yo.
Oh, God.
Anakin in episode 1.
God, no, wizard. It was that other kid.
Random other. This is pretty wizard, Annie. So the Cyber Planet reveals there's like 3 million Cybermen on this planet. And it's like you kind of have to wonder how that went undiscovered for years.
Well, they were on the planet that the Doctor got transported to, or whatever that place was.
What?
They were like coming through. That's what I got out of it.
No, they were. What I got was that they were on that planet and they were just waking up.
Maybe that thing was on.
They were just
the planet
on Hedgewick's World of Wonders, waking up. That's why they imploded the planet.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I guess. I thought they all like came through or something. I don't know. It was weird.
Mr. Clever tells the Doctor to sack his queen in exchange for the 2 kids. He's like, all right, I sack my queen for the kids. So the Cyber Planet frees the kids. The Doctor's like, you just need to stay alive for a bit.
Yeah, the rest of this, maybe I'm underselling it by saying this, but it's just kind of like a shootout, and
a lot of people are dying.
Yeah.
The Doctor claims mate in 3 moves, and the Cyber Planet doesn't see it, so he draws in processing power from all the other cyber units to try and find it, which saves Clara, because she's about to be converted. And then the Doctor's like, yeah, 3 moves, and Porridge has dropped one of these, like, hand electrocute things that we introduced earlier that you can like shock a Cyberman from behind.
We didn't mention the new cyber mites.
Oh yeah.
They're not cyber mats anymore. They're evolved. They're smaller. Cyber mites. They're essentially the same thing, just creepier.
And smaller. And more deadly, I guess.
And as with the cyber mats, or just the Cybermen as well, like at the end you see one is still alive and yeah.
Yeah, in the vacuum of space where it's probably never going to be found. Or he's going to, like, fall into the sun. That would suck for the Cybermite. Not so much for humanity, I guess. Yeah, so the Doctor's 3-move mate is pick up hand gauntlet, sonic screwdriver the hand gauntlet the side of the face that's been cyberized, which apparently removes the cyberization.
Yeah, there's a scene where Clara is supposed to tell whether it's the Doctor or the Cyber Planner.
Yeah, because he wants the remote detonator for the implosion device, and she's like, tell me something only the Doctor would know. And he's like, you're beautiful and I love you. And she's like, yeah, sure. Ha!
But then Clara's being real...
coy?
No, she's being really wavy with this device, because she's waving it around everywhere, and the Cyber Planner gets it anyway.
Yeah. Then the Doctor's like, how'd you know that wasn't me? And she's like, even if any of that were true, he wouldn't say it to me. He's like, I guess that's true, I suppose. And then when he gets the cyberization off, she comes in, she's like, prove to me you're the doctor. And he's like, your nose is weird. And she's like, good enough for me.
Yeah. So at this point, it's revealed, like, within the span of, I don't know, 3 minutes or even less, that what's-his-face...
That Porridge is the Emperor.
Right, Porridge is the Emperor.
I didn't see this reveal coming the first time I watched it.
Yeah, because it mostly just feels like, oh shoot, how do we end this? So I guess Porridge is the Emperor. Actually, I mean, it doesn't really, but like...
There's a lingering shot on the waxwork of the Emperor in Webley's ship, which I guess is supposed to clue you in, because Angie's like, it's obvious. They just made him taller in the waxwork, but the face is the same. And
right.
Like, I mean, could be like his son or father or like... Right? It's a big jump just assuming it's the same person.
She says, it's not a big jump.
It's also, there's 1,000 galaxies in this empire. Like, there's a possibility he could just be someone who looks the same.
She also brings up the coins, which is just another, like, strange decision included in the story, because as far as I could tell, we don't see the coins.
Yeah, we don't see the coins.
It's like, he's on the coins as if we had, like, a close-up of the coins.
Well, she holds the coin up to the waxwork.
Oh, does she?
But we don't see it. She holds it up like she's looking at comparing the two.
Oh, well, I mean, that's like enough to guess that, like, what she's doing, you know?
Yeah, but still.
Still, I guess.
We don't see it. And then he's like, yep. But then, like, there's this thing that could have been really interesting if they'd revealed he was the Emperor earlier, which they kind of hinted at when he was talking with the commander, because he's like, you recognize me? And she's like, yeah. I used to work on the guard for the Emperor. There's this thing, he brings up that, like I said, could have been interesting, where he says, like, oh, I don't want to be Emperor. That's why I ran away to go hide in this backwater planet. But then he's like, if I say that I'm the Emperor, then the bomb will activate, but then I have to be Emperor, and I don't want to be Emperor.
Yeah, it's sort of like this coming-of-age thing where he has to step into this role to save everyone and kill 3 million Cybermen.
And it's like, that could have been a really interesting... dilemma for him to face if he had brought it up earlier in the episode.
And I mean, like, it was, but it was just, again, like, not done.
Yeah, because the way to do it is he goes, the throne and the bomb are linked. All I have to do is say I'm Emperor Augustus the 15th, Imperator of the human empire, and then the bomb activates.
And the bomb activates.
Yeah. And the bomb activates because he just said it.
Yeah, it wasn't like a mistake, though. He knew what he was doing when he said that.
Yeah.
So they teleport out.
Yeah, because he's like 80 seconds, just long enough for a ship to register my voice code, warp in, beam us out, watch as the planet blows up. And they immediately beam out.
All those people,
they team at.
Yeah, they do. They mention transmat. So all those people who died pretty much died in vain. This could have been done at any point.
Well, the doctor had to get Mr. Clever out of him first. And he had to get it out of the kids. I don't think Webley actually teleported up to the ship, so Webley might be dead.
Is Webley dead?
Webley might be dead.
Oh, boy. Let's check the wiki on that one. Or maybe Wikipedia. Wikipedia has more Doctor Who info than the Doctor Who wiki.
Not about the weird, obscure,
not about like
expanded universe stuff.
Yeah. Did you know you can just put in a date on the Doctor Who wiki, and there's like a page for like March 30th, 1969, and it's just like characters who or like stories that took place on this day, Doctor Who related people, like cast and crew who were born on this day. And it's I don't know. It's just so strange.
It's like the Florida Man Challenge. You heard about that?
No.
You put in your date of birth, not including the year, into Google plus the words Florida Man, and then you see which Florida man comes up. Because in Florida there's this, I don't know, I think it's a law where you're not allowed to disclose the name of criminals, which is why like every article says Florida man does this, Florida man does that.
Yeah, all right.
So you put in Florida man and the date of your birth, and then see what article comes up from your birthday. I think mine was something really weird about a guy who was like, I don't remember now, but he was standing somewhere and just yelling random things, I think. got arrested.
Reminds me, have you seen those? They're getting pretty big now, I think. Those things are like, type in your email and see if it's on the dark web and getting traded. And I'm like, I feel like if I type it into one of these services, it's going to start being traded on the dark web.
Yeah.
Well, whatever. The episode ends with a scene in the throne room on a ship. I guess he rules from a ship, which makes sense considering the size of the empire.
Yeah. Is it even possible to effectively rule an empire of that size?
That was my question. Possibly even going back to like the Third Doctor's era when this human empire was sort of established as a thing.
And then it collapses at some point.
Yeah, weren't there multiple collapses and like rebuildings?
Yeah, because I think the 10th Doctor takes Rose title to the fourth great and bountiful human empire.
Yeah. So he steps into that's how it kind of ends. He proposes to Clara, and Clara's like, I don't want to. She says, I don't want to rule,
1,000 galaxies. He's like, yeah, that makes sense. And then later, like in the final shot of the episode, he turns to like the random woman soldier who survived. He's like, hey, do you want to be emperor? And she's like, no. And he's like, that's the right answer. And it's just kind of how it ends. Well, then there's a scene where the Doctor drops the kids off. We forgot the scene where Mr. Clever tells Clara that the Doctor's fascinated with her because she's the impossible girl. She's like, why am I impossible? And he's like, he's just fascinated with you.
Right.
And she asks the Doctor about it, and he's like, no time. Explain later.
Well, because it ends with Clara and Angie and Artie going back, and the Doctor reiterating that he needs to find out who she is.
Again. As if he hasn't reiterated it at the end of every episode and made zero progress towards figuring it out.
Yeah, well, the whole thing with the Emperor being like, that's how it's supposed to be, is this thing of like the people who should rule are ones who don't want to, because then in that way they're not like power hungry or whatever.
Yeah.
Although I don't know, like there's certain moments you can point to in like both stories and history that like really question that assumption.
Well, because those who don't want to rule basically typically have no experience ruling anything. So it's a trade-off between experience and power hungriness.
But also like this thing of, you start as like just, I don't know, trying to do the right thing or not really caring, and then the more you're in that role, the more power hungry you get.
Power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts, absolutely. I don't know who said that. It's a pretty famous quote, though. Or you can just be backstabbed by all of your closest consorts. Classic Caesar.
You blaming Caesar?
Blame Caesar for his own death.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know the full details of the play or the like historical like records or whatever, but like, I mean, he was power hungry, which is why they're like, hey, we got to do this, right?
Yeah.
So
weirdly enough, like his ascension to power is like pretty similar to Hitler's, at least in the aspect that they both were granted emergency powers for a brief amount of time, and then they were like, I have absolute power, you can't take this away from me. Kind of weird how that happened, both of them. Or they both did the same thing, I guess. History repeats itself. So, yeah, the story like wasn't that interesting or great.
No, it wasn't, and it just seems like there were a lot of behind-the-scenes things that kind of threw a wrench in all of this.
Yeah, I think so. Like I said, it could have been really interesting to actually see the Emperor's like dilemma throughout this episode. Like maybe if he confided in Clara, and Clara was like, well, I don't really know what to do because I don't rule 1,000 galaxies. And like throughout the episode, Clara was the only one who knew he was the Emperor. And then at the end, she tells the Doctor and he's surprised. And that way we can get kind of the reveal to the Doctor, but we also get his dilemma, I guess, his internal dilemma throughout the whole story. Because as it stands, there isn't really much of like a quote conflict unquote in the story, except between the Doctor. Well, it's just the
Cybermen like killing people.
Yeah, but I mean the main conflict is between the Doctor and Mr. Clever, and that's like not super interesting because they're just playing chess, right?
Yeah.
We forgot to mention the reason why they're playing chess is because there's like 2% of the Doctor's brain that's not controlled by either the Doctor or Mr. Clever. and whoever
Yeah,
wins.
they're wagering on,
Yeah.
getting control of that or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really have too much to say about this one. It wasn't too interesting, really. So
Kind of a letdown right at the end of the season here.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe it'll make next week's episode better.
Yeah, maybe people consider next week's episode better because they consider it like in comparison to this one. It is a possibility. We're almost at the return of the 10th Doctor, which will be very exciting.
We're almost at the 50th anniversary.
Yeah, the return of the 10th Doctor. Coming back for his time in the sun.
Yeah.
But until then, you can email us. Not yet. You can email us at thedoctor@decorativevegetable.com. Questions, comments, concerns, ignorance, love letters, thoughts on the Cybermen redesign. Thoughts on whether Neil Gaiman should come back or not. You can find us on YouTube at Decorative Vegetable. Give us on Apple Podcasts and Google Play at Trust Your Doctor. Be sure to leave a rating if you liked the show.
Check us out on Facebook, Trust Your Doctor. Like us on Facebook. Also check us out on Twitter at TYD Podcast and follow us on Twitter next time we're watching The Name of the Doctor. But until then, the end.